ओके, आप सब लोग ठीक है? Which one we have to do?
176. Page number 176.
इसको कम करना. ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. ओम शांति शांति शांति. श्रुति पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः. You know, the Buddhism is more about Kshanika Vijnanavada and Bhakyarthavada. All of them accept that the Shunyam is even though Madhyamika Bauddhas accept Shunyam as their philosophy, but every Buddhist accepts ultimately it is Shunyam. Shunyam becomes everything. How can Shunyam be accepted as something because of which everything appears, comes back? From nothing, from nothingness, something doesn't come back. From something comes back. Clay that which exists, the pot can come back. What exists from what exists, the what is existent can come back. Can be created. From nothing present is created from the absent absence. From the present can be created. From the absent can be absent cannot be created. There is no difference between one absence and another absence. And therefore, this is the Bhakyarthavada means the Buddhists always think that Bhakyarthavada means the objects are independent of you. They are not born of Atma. They're Nairatmavadis. There is no Atma, there is no witness, there is no Siya. In this manner they say. Everything is momentary. When you come back to home, when you go back to your house you think is the same. That is ignorance. It is not the same, it is similar. And there is no continuity. It is similar. It is not the same, it is similar. In this manner they say. And therefore between one similar and to get over the sanskara of the sameness is exactly called what is called jnana. But then the shunyam, if they talk about shunyam, then we say we ask a question. Then what is it that who for whose knowledge it is shunyam? Who is the seer? And they say there is no need to see. Shunyam is shunyam. The seer also is shunyam. But how that shunyam? How does one establish that shunyam? And this is what is going to be happen. And therefore, and also the Siddhanti refutes the Purvapakshi. Siddhanti means our own Vedanta. Vedanta refutes the Buddhism by saying that you don't have to make any effort to get shunyam, because everything is momentary, choicelessly. What is choiceless? For that you don't have to make any effort. But you are doing so much of sadhana. Why are you doing so much of sadhana? To make the atoms change, to make the matter change, No, it is choicelessly changeless, and therefore your sadhana is useless, and therefore sadhana is refuted. Apeksha yadi bhinnepi, according to you, even though one thing, one object depends upon another object in a different way. Even if you say you are wrong, it is because you always accept one atom changing matter. One object changes and creates another object, a similar object. Like one wave dips into water and a similar wave comes back. In the same manner, you say that, and therefore, parasantanaha. Therefore, um, you always talk about uh, one object changing and another object it is independent of another object. There is no cause and effect relationship. There is no causation. The effect can independent of every object. All objects are created at the same time, and therefore they have the same. They are contemporary, and therefore there is no need to depend upon one thing. And that means an effect can sometimes one momentary Srishti is followed by Srishti is followed by Laya is followed by Srishti. This is what is called Parasantanam. Parasantanam means the sequence of things. Parasantana Ishyata. Now it says Sarvarthe Kshanike Kasmin Tatha Pe Anya Anapekshata. Even though you say that everything being momentary, and you say everything is momentary, and therefore everything changes and everything ultimately Shunyavada, you accept Shunyavada, and therefore Shunyavada cannot be accepted. Tulyakala Samudbhutau, Itaretara Yoginav. Tulyakala means at the same time. At the same time, Tulyakala, page number 176, 29th verse. Tulyakala Samudbhuta. Tulyakalam means at the same time, Udbhutau. Udbhuta means created. Itaretara Yoginav. Itaretara Yoginav means they are connected. Two stones are connected to each other, but there is no cause and effect relationship between anything, between two objects. Like according to you, there is no causation. Everything changes. Everything is from Shunyam. Everything is born from Shunyam. Everything is sustained from by Shunyam. Everything it goes back, and therefore everything is, there is no sustenance. Momentary. It is momentary. It's created and it is destroyed. And when it's created and destroyed, creation and destruction is what is called sequence of things. This is called Parasantanam. And then supposing there are two stones, and both the stones are next to each other, and therefore there is no causation between the two. Parasantanam. And then the Yoga Cha, Sanskrita, and between the two stones, there is no causation. There is no between the two stones. There is no cause and effect relationship. There is no cause and effect relationship. So anyam hikshutumarati. And supposing there is something, if there is a cause and effect relationship, then the cause should be present. But you don't accept that cause. You accept only the two stones. Two stones are two objects, and there is no between two objects. There is no cause and effect relationship, and therefore, like a cloud and a seed, I say a seed can be a cloud and a stain, a rain and a stain, seed. Unless there is a rain, the seed cannot grow. There is a connection, and yet there is no connection. There is a cause and effect. Certain causes are fixed. They have fixed relationship, cause and effect relationship. But every effect, between every two things, there need not be cause and effect relationship. Certain things may have, like rain and cloud, rain and seed. The seed can sprout only when the rain comes, and therefore there is a connection. There is a cause and effect relationship between the sprout and the rain. There is a cause and effect relationship. But there is no connection between the two. There is no connection means each is not qualified by the other, and therefore your whole thinking is ultimately is wrong, because Shunyavada is wrong. According to our paksha, we only say that like rope is see, you people have to study the Buddhism. That Buddhism, unless it is studied, it is and only thing that it is momentary. Momentariness is understood and Shunyavada is understood, and nothing else is understood by the students, and therefore it becomes difficult. But they say there is no causation. From Shunyavada it comes. How can Shunyam be the cause of the what is existent? And then they say there is no causation between Shunyam and the object. And there is no Shunyam, there is no causation. In fact, all the objects are created at the same time. Whereas we say that adhyasastu yatra syat, where the rope is misunderstood as a snake. Adhyasastu swanashat swana syat tanashaha, and disproving that snake is what is called tatra no mataha. This is according to us. According to us, it is no mataha. No mataha, no mataha, naha mataha. It is our asmakam mataha, I think. Asmakam sammatam. What is asmakam sammatam? हमारे लिए वो क्या समझ है? If the snake is misunderstood, if the rope is misunderstood as snake, then disproving the snake and understanding the rope is necessary for us. That is according to us. Whereas sarvanashe bhavedyasya moksha, if everything is destroyed, then for whom is moksha? Kasya moksha? Yes, bhavedyasya. If everything is destroyed, yadi asya moksha kasya phalam vada. If moksha kasya phalam vada, kasya phalam vada, moksha phalam vada. If everything is destroyed, then moksha is for whom? If there is no observer, if the conscious being also is destroyed, then for whom is the moksha? For who is enjoying the moksha? Who is enjoying the phalam, the fruit of sadhana? Astitavat swayam nama. Even though the observer is always there, without the observer there is no creation. Astitavat swayam nama. Swayam nama. The observer is always there. Jnanam va atma anya devava. You call it jnanam, you call it swayam or atma, swayam atma, anya devava, or by any other word. It doesn't matter. Anya devava. Bhava abhavajnata abhavajnya abhavajnataha, because it is because he knows the presence and absence, and therefore if you know the presence, you also know the absence of the things. If you know the presence and absence of the things, then he has to, even the absence of things he knows. Unless he is there, he cannot know the absence. Before the birth, these objects were not there. This is the anubhava of everyone, and that means even before the birth, you were there. Who was there? Not Mr. So and so. Mr. So and so comes into existence. Its identification comes with the body, but that identification is not there before that. This body was not there, and therefore identification with the body was not there, and therefore only Brahman was there, and that Brahman mistakes himself to be the jiva. Bhavedyasya na abhava astu adhigamyate. If he is not there, then he cannot understand the absence. Absence can be understood. Absence can be experienced. The absence of things can be experienced only by the presence of the person, presence of a conscious being. Yeah, you in deep sleep state also you experience the absence. You experience the presence of things. You experience the absence of things. And that experience, you say, my experience begins only when I'm born. Your experience is timeless. Your experience, when you experience the absence of Jivatvam, then you are Brahman. When you say that before the birth, I was not there. As a Jiva, Mr. So and so was not there. That identification was not there. And therefore, but Brahman was there. And therefore, Brahman is there. That means you were there. You as Brahman was there. During the absence, you alone were there. Advaita. When you in the deep sleep state, um, this world was not there. Your body was not felt, and the prana was not felt. The thoughts were not felt. And the body was not felt, and therefore you alone were there. You can't say I was not there. You can't say I was not there, and therefore abhijna, and therefore the anubhava of the presence and absence proves that they are there without the observer, without the observing person, whose knowledge it is to be or not to be. The presence and absence of anubhava. The anubhava of the presence of things, the anubhava of the absence of things, whose anubhava it is, he is there, that observer is there. And therefore, asti tavat swayam nama. Call it jnanam, call it atma anideva by another word. Bhava bhavajnastaha. Because one knows the presence of things and also the absence of things. And therefore the absence of things is when a person knows in the deep sleep state, Swamiji, can I not stay in the throughout the waking state as in the deep sleep state? Yes, you can stay if you come to know that in the deep sleep state and you were there, you as Brahman was there. If you understand, if you, that means the Jivatvam is disproved. When the Jivatvam is disproved, then you become you stand as Brahman, and therefore here it is said, na abhavastu adhigamyate. Abhava cannot be there if there is no conscious being, then the abhava cannot be accepted. Adhigamyate. Yena adhigamyate abhavaha. By whom? By which conscious being? Yena, by which conscious being the absence is known. Tasyat tat if na chet bhaved. If you say it is not true, there is nobody, no person experienced, then the one who the presence is known only by that being who knew the sushupti also. Sushupti means the one who knew the absence also. The one who knows the absence and the one who knows the presence are one and the same. And therefore this whole world, bhava, anabhignatnu lokasya syat. If you say it is not true, that before the birth I was not there, I mentioned the Jiva was not there. But as Brahman you were there, as Brahman you were there, as Jiva you were not there, as Brahman you were there. And therefore, this world should be accepted not to know the presence of things. Not to know the presence of things, because the one who understands, who knows the presence of things, alone came to know the absence of things also in the deep sleep state, before the birth, etc. And therefore, nacha ishyate, that cannot be accepted. It cannot be accepted. What is it that cannot be accepted? That is that the world doesn't know. The world doesn't know the presence of things and the absence of things. The presence of things is known by the world. The absence of things also is known by the world, and therefore, because it is known by the world, the presence and absence. Now there is always, even by the one who understands, who knows the absence, the world is not there. He is nishprapancham, the one who experiences the absence of the world. When all thoughts in meditation, when all thoughts subside, you alone remain. The thinker remains. The thinker conscious being alone remains. All thoughts end. All thoughts end, and only conscious being remains. And that conscious being cannot be accepted to become absent. Nacha ishyate. Nacha ishyate means It's not correct to say that it's not correct to say that the conscious being is not there. Conscious being has to be there in sleep also, because it's experienced. You always say that it is my experience. That experience is not a belief, please. It is an anubhava. Because belief is not in experience. What is believed is not within experience. You say heaven. Heaven is not within your experience. Whereas Sushupti is in your experience. Dream is in your experience. And the waking is in your experience. That means you see both, you know both the presence and absence of things. And not to accept that the world comes to know both the presence and absence of things is not acceptable. Nachayishyate is not acceptable. Everybody accepts the presence of things. Everybody sees the presence of things. Everybody sees also the absence of things. And therefore, nachayishyate, san nachayishyate. It cannot be accepted that the world doesn't know the presence of things and the absence of things. And therefore, that is the sat syat. The one who understands the presence of the things, and the one who understands, the one who knows experiences the presence of things and experiences the absence of things, he is the sat, he is the sat, he is sat, he is the truth. Sat. Nachet bhavet. If it is not acceptable, bhava anvajnatum lokasya syat. The world should not know the presence of things and the absence of things. But that cannot nachayishyate. It cannot be accepted to be so. Nachayishyate. 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 It is not acceptable that the world doesn't know the presence and absence of things. The world knows the presence and absence of things, and therefore the world knows the presence. Everybody knows the presence of things and absence of things, and they're including cats and dogs. They know the presence of things, they know the absence of things, and therefore they are also Brahman. Brahman exists as the conscious being all over the universe. All over the universe, even devatas are nothing but Brahman, and therefore the consciousness alone is the truth. Matter, according to Buddhism, all the things are momentary. Every object is momentary, and that matter is momentary. That is all right, but you can't say it is a similar thing. I saw a similar thing. Ramana Kendra, I come back to Ramana Kendra. It is a similar thing. You can't say it is the same thing, and the same thing, and that same thing means the one who saw is the same. That is the thing is the sameness of the thing, and the sameness of the thing proves the sameness of the observer, and he is the material cause for everything, very object. Consciousness is the material cause, and therefore, lokasya sujit syad nachayishyate. It cannot be accepted. When we know that in the presence of things and absence of things, we are continuous, and therefore, Buddhism is wrong. Buddhism is, if it were right, then the shunyam, then what is non-existent? The shunyam. Shunyam means zero. Nothing is there. The shunyam, emptiness, void should be the. If void is the cause of everything, we don't say that, we don't accept it. Parameshwara is the cause of everything. Parameshwara is the truth of everything. Parameshwara is the truth of everything. Lokasya nachayishyate. And it cannot be accepted. The one who sees the presence and absence of things himself is the truth. And therefore, sadasat sadasat cheti. Sadasat sadasat cheti. Some people define it as sat. Some people define it as asat, non-existent. Some people define it as both sat and asat. Sadasat cheti. It is both sat and asat. And some people define it as not neither sat nor asat. In this manner, they define it. Vikalpat pragyadishyate. This vikalpa being there, iti pragyadishyate. What was said by Buddhists, yadishyate yadi ishyate yadishyate tad advaitam. And therefore, when whatever is there, when things are not there, what is there is Advaitam, Advaitam. That is non-duality of your being, your existence. Samatvatu, Samatvatu Nityam. It is the same in all individuals, in all bodies. It is the same truth. Nityam, it is the truth. It is a timeless truth. Anyad Vikalpa. It is something that is different from Vikalpa. Vikalpa is I am the body. I am the body is the Vikalpa. It is neither Sat nor Asat, neither, it is both and it is neither. It is neither Sat, it is both and it is neither. Third Vikalpa is it is both. And fourth Vikalpa is it is neither. It is neither means neither. You understand neither? Neither Sat nor Asat. It is not given here, but it is not. It has to be said. Four vikalpas are there. All the four vikalpas are wrong. All the four vikalpas wrong. It is Sat alone. It is Sat alone. Sat means existence. Tadaya Swamidamagrasidi Ekameva Advitiyam Tat Satyam Sa Atma Pasutomasi. That Sat is indeed Advaitam. And when thoughts are not there, you are there. Thinker cannot become absent. Thinker is not absent ever. Thinker is always there. Thinker is always there. And therefore, thinker is not absent at any time. If thinker is absent, then the thoughts also will be absent. The thinker is not absent. I mean, thinker means conscious being. Atma is never absent. Conscious being is always present. And therefore, Anyad Vikalpitat. Anyad, it is different from when we come to know the rope. It is different. Vikalpa is something that you think, that you see. Snake is what you see. Rope is what is. Rope is what is. Therefore, what you see is different from what is. What you see is different from what is. What you see yourself is a thought. You see that you are the body. It is not what is. You are being Brahman. You are being the unlimited. That can be understood only when we come to know that we are not the body. I am not the body. In this manner, when you think, I am not the body. When you see the different, that is why Shankaracharya says, Atma Anatma Avivekaha eva Karanam. Atma Anatma, non-discerning between the Atma body and the Atma consciousness is the reason for continuity of the problem. Why the problem continues? The problem continues because a man doesn't think. Why he doesn't think? Because he doesn't discern. Why he doesn't discern? Because he is distracted to the objects. Why is he distracted to the objects? Because he has got desires. And therefore, don't get distracted to the objects. Objects will be there. Objects are always there. And if you think of the pleasures, then the pleasures will draw you. And therefore he doesn't discern between Deha and the Atma. And that is the reason why the continuity of the problem is there. And therefore, the continuity of the problem is due to aviveka. Aviveka means non-discrimination. And therefore, vikalpodbhuvaha asatvam. Vikalpodbhutaha udbhavataha asatvam. Vikalpa udbhavataha udbhavato asatvam. Swadrishya vadishyam. Swadrishya vadishyam. Swadrishyavat means they say it is similar, not the same. Swadrishyam. Swadrishyam means it is apna drishya. It is similar to the object. The object that I see now is only similar to it. It is not the same. In this Swadrishyat, Swadrishyata. Dvaitasya praga asatvacha. Dvaitam is praga asatvacha. Dvaitam is absent before it was born. Adavantas yan nasti, vartamanapi tattatha. Adavantecha yan nasti. Dvaitam was not there before you woke up, and Dvaitam is not there again when you go to sleep. Dvaitam is not seen. Not being seen, not being remembered is called a laya. Not being seen and not being remembered. When you don't feel, When you don't see, when you don't remember, that is called a laya. When you don't see, when you don't remember, you don't see the body, you don't remember the body, you don't see the prana, you don't feel the breath, you don't feel the thoughts, you don't see the thoughts, you don't also feel the presence of thoughts. All these things are, therefore, Dvaitam was not there before you wake up. Dvaitam is also not there after you fall asleep. And therefore it is asatvam. Dvaitasya praga asatvam. Asatvacha. Satsattvadi vikalpana. It is something different from satsa. The truth is something different from the vikalpa. Vikalpa means the error. The vikalpa is the error. The rope is different from the snake. Rope is different from the snake. Rope is different from the snake. Rope nest is different from the snake nest. Rope is different from the snake. When the rope is different from the snake, then you don't have to think twice to discern between Deha and the Atma. When you discern between Atma and Deha, then you understand that you are not the Jiva. You are not Jiva. Jiva is a conscious being, please. That is why it is said, Slokardhena Pravakshami. Shankaracharya says, I am going to tell what the multiple scriptures have said. I will say in half a shloka. He says, Shankaracharya says, Slokardhena Pravakshami Duktam Granda Kotivi. Crores of Grandas have given what they have said. What is said by the crores of books, I will say in one half a shloka. And half a shloka is over. Slokardhena Pravakshami Duktam Granda Kotivi. And then he says, Brahma Satyam. Brahma is the Satyam. And Jagan Mithya. Jagat is Mithya. Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. जीव ही ब्रह्म है, कोई आए नहीं. जीव ब्रह्म है, लेकिन जीव ब्रह्म, जीवत्व has to be disproved. Then alone brahmatvam has to be understood. Without the jivatvam being disproved, without the snake being disproved, the rope cannot be understood. The rope has to be understood, then the snake is disproved. Either way you can say, when the snake is disproved, the rope is understood, or the rope is understood, the snake is disproved. Either way you can say, it means the same thing. There are two statements for the same fact. Here, like light and darkness. Light first comes and darkness goes, or darkness goes and the light comes first. The darkness first comes. First, does the darkness go first and the light comes next? Or the light comes first or the darkness goes next? What goes? What is first? And people always argue like this. But both of them are two statements for two ways of talking for the same thing. They are two statements about the same thing. And therefore, it is different from, and therefore, Jivatvam has to be disproved. Dvaitasya praga asatvacha, satsattvadi vikalpanath. Satsattvadi vikalpanath, it is neither sat nor asat, satsattvadi, etc. It is, some people define it as sat, some people define it as asat. Then when they define it as sat also, they don't mean sat. They don't mean sat, they mean only the material things. Like Sankhya's. Sankhya's always define it as sat, what is. What is actually is your Brahmatvam, your Sattvam, your existence is what is. That I am the body is only what is seen by you. Snake is what is seen by you. Rope is what is. What is. What you are is Brahmatvam. What you are being Brahma. You are being Brahman. But you are only seeing that you are Jiva. Therefore, that you are seeing, you find yourself seeing yourself as Jiva. That is called Jiva. Jiva does not use his thinking to identify with the body. He finds himself seeing himself as the body. He finds himself seeing, like anger, swabhavik pravrittis, like anger. You don't have to use your will to be angry. You are forced to become angry. You're greedy, jealous, hatred. You don't have to use your will. You use your will to control them. In the same manner, here also you use your will to disprove it, to disprove the thought. not to entertain the thought, not to entertain the thought. In the same manner here also, the snake is something that is, snake is something that is, a rope is something different from the snake. This is, even though they say it is Sat, but they don't mean it is Sat. But Sat, but the Brahman say, Vedanta says it is Sat. Sat means it is Brahman. Sat means Adhyara Upavada Nyaya is there. Adhyara Upavada Nyaya in relation to something and by itself, when there is no perception, when there is no perception, there is no memory, when there is laya, you alone are there. And therefore, and that you experience, we can say, from the waking state, you can say, from the waking point of view, you can say, when you see the presence of things, this presence of things was not there. Well, is it your experience? How do you know? Well, I experienced the absence of things. And therefore, you always say, did you feel the body? No, I did not feel the body. Did you feel the universe? No. Did you feel the children? No. But who told you that? Who told you that they were not there? Who told you that? That is one's experience. And therefore, either you say, it was my experience, and therefore, when you say that it is my experience, then the all argument comes to an end. The word experience puts off all the arguments. It is my experience. Everybody says it is my experience. Sushupti, everybody experiences. That is why you want to go to sleep, because there are no thoughts of dukkam. Dukkam is imposed upon you. Sukham is your nature, and therefore sukham is your swarupa. Dukkam is imposed upon you, and therefore your nature is different from, and therefore don't search for happiness here and there. Search for your sukham in yourself. You don't have to be distracted to the objects, and therefore, and the more of it we will see in the next class. Thank you very much, Ji. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnas Purnamadaaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.